Hey there everybody, I'm back again and very excited to share today's message with you guys, which has been one that's quite revolutionary in my own growth and development, and something that I've been getting daily realizations around that have been blowing past paradigms of thinking out of the water. And I'm hoping that me sharing what I want to talk with you guys about today is going to have a similar effect on you guys, because honestly, I've just realized, one of the key things that's been holding me back from getting to the next level of my potential. And when we have these sort of experiences and kind of we awaken to these different patterns of behavior that we were blind to previously, that we had no idea were actually really happening for us, and basically we wake up to them, we start to be able to see other people having those same challenges. And it might be a really, really powerful one for you guys as well. In fact, I'm probably sure that it will be. So stay tuned for this one, and I want to hear from you guys your relationship with being a victim, or understanding and knowing when you have been victimized, and what do you do with that information. Some of us, we're always on the lookout for when we've been victimized, and we're always looking to protect ourselves. We're always, checking in. We're kind of being quite cynical about people in our lives, and ultimately whether we can trust them enough. And then there's different people like myself who've operated in a very different way, which was either to kind of block out when we have been victimized, kind of totally forget and kind of disconnect from those memories, or on the other side, sorry, I'm just trying to share this in the right place. There we go. Or actually just find the gratitude, why we're so grateful for this, this victimization happening to us, because we can grow from it, right? We can learn from it. We can grow from it. And if you're like me, that's kind of where you might fall as well. So this is going to be a powerful one for you guys to tap into with me. So play along at home. I'd love to hear from you guys as usual. And today's message is to become the creator of your life. You must first acknowledge your victimization. Now, what am I talking about? I always like unpacking this with you guys, because this is where I see so many of us. Practically every single client I've ever had has had this trapping them from actually getting to the next level, and it's around the concept of their victimization. They've either completely tried to jump over the fact of things that have happened in their past, that they've been the victim of their circumstances, or people have victimized them when they've been in a vulnerable position. And they're just trying to get past that. They don't want to deal with that. They don't want to think about that. They want to get beyond it. And this is kind of me. This is more of my pattern as well. And just want to get to doing good in the world, or, reaching their goals. And what's happened is, a lot of the time when I have a client, it's because they're really pushing towards something, but they don't feel like they can get there, and they feel like there's some sort of block there. And basically, when I dive into a detailed history of their life, which I get every single one of my clients to do, it's a very long 13-page document that they really go into and unravel, their whole life to me before we even start our sessions. Basically, being able to go through that, I get to see all the ins and outs to what's made this person who they are today, what's gotten them to this particular point. And by doing so, I can also see who were the particular people of influence or situations of influence and impact that molded this person, and created maybe some belief systems created some beliefs around themselves and who they are as a person, maybe diminished their trust within themselves, made them, feel unworthy in different ways. There's a whole bunch of different circumstances that happen to every single one of us as human beings that, when left unaddressed, end up determining the course of our future. And if we get to be able to have a process, to be able to go identify who those people, who those influencers were in our lives, and also, what were those situations or circumstances that happened that actually have created and molded who we are, but now are keeping us limited. And when we're able to see that and then have processes that not take us back into the past and we just dwell on all the negativity and the pain and the turmoil and the chaos, but actually go back into the past with a real structure so that we can actually identify and look at it from this adult's perspective. And recognize, what wasn't right in that circumstance, acknowledge what wasn't right, and also give ourselves the resources that we were missing at that point in time so that we can actually cut ties with those anchors from the past and actually get beyond them and move toward our goal. But most of us, shouldn't say most of us, but I should say a lot of us, and this is the boat that I've been in, have been never wanting to identify as a victim. I never want to be a victim, right? And that resistance to ever seeing myself being a victim has actually kept me stuck in different areas of my life, because it's our unhealed wounds that actually end up governing the game, right? Everything in the subconscious. In the conscious, I can say, I'm not a victim. I can be grateful for this experience. I can take the lesson. I'm beyond that. I don't dwell in the past. And we try so hard to move into our future, but we find ourselves sabotaging our success in a multitude of different ways, or never really feeling like we can quite make it, or maybe not believing or trusting in ourselves. And you'd be amazed at how much of that stuff is connected to your inability to acknowledge when you've been victimized in the past. Now, when I talk about victimization, it could be a very traumatic abuse that took place. I've worked with a lot of clients with that. And it could be something more minuscule, right? It could just be, something somebody said or something somebody did that you cared about. And, they just did this thing that just made you not feel so great in some way, shape or form at whatever age you were. And basically, from that, you kind of doubted yourself, or you started to question yourself, or you started to judge yourself in different ways. And those judgments are now playing out in a way that's keeping you limited and small, keeping you from taking risks that will move you toward what you actually want in this life. And so if you have some processes and ways of going back into the past, I'm going to share something that you could be doing at home, because I realize, not everybody has the capacity to go and hire a coach or go and see different people and pay money and all that sort of stuff, but there are free resources out there for you, and I'm hoping what I share with you guys today will actually help and support you and give you a channel into that. But basically, if you don't acknowledge where you've been victimized, there's this part of you that just doesn't trust you, because you're invalidating an experience that you had at a point where you didn't know any better. You were in a vulnerable position. Maybe you were younger. Maybe you didn't know any better. There's all these different things. And if you invalidate your own journey and experience, you end up not trusting yourself, because you don't have your best interests at heart, right? And you just feel like you're not being heard, you're not being listened to, you're not being cared enough for, and you're just having everything swept under the rug. Now, if the things that you identify that you've been kind of in that victimized state, if you heard your child express those things to you, you wouldn't just say, oh, shut up, just be grateful for that experience, just learn, take the lesson, let's go. We don't need to talk about that. You wouldn't treat them like that, would you? You'd want to do whatever it takes to help that person heal, that child of yours heal, to feel good about themselves, to validate their experience and say, hey, you know what, that wasn't okay. That's not true. And here's what is true that will empower you towards your future. All right, we have to look at how we're actually treating ourselves in this regard. Not judge the victim for what's happened to them, because at the end of the day, you're just victimizing the victim, right? And we do this to ourselves all the time. And ultimately, it prevents us from being the creator of our life. We stay actually stuck in that victim position because we're victimizing ourselves. We're not looking at what's actually happened, acknowledging it, and getting beyond it. We're keeping ourselves stuck and limited by the past. And it's only when we shine light on the past experiences that we can actually give ourselves the validation that we actually require. Every single human being has a need for validation. You might as well be the person who gives that to yourself by having some processes to go back and acknowledge that stuff that wasn't right, that happened, and to get beyond it, right? And that's the point where you can take the lesson and get to a state of gratitude for it. But you can't bypass the fact that you were at different times victimized. And like I said, this is a very new discovery for me because of my resistance, my strong resistance to ever seeing myself as a victim of any variety. But more recently in my life, I've had three or four particular examples of this play out in my life where I've actually had to take a step back and acknowledge that the things that happened in those circumstances just weren't right. I was victimized. I'm not somebody who's going to dwell and sit there in my victim mindset. But I've also got to a point only very recently where instead of bypassing my own growth and acknowledgement and validation and skipping along to the gratitude and just getting on with it, I actually have had to realize that me doing that is actually limiting myself from the full expression of who I am. And, it limits your own trust within yourself and self-belief. So it's going to limit my potential if I don't address it and acknowledge it and validate my experience and say, you know what, that which happened to you was not okay. And you didn't bring that on necessarily all yourself, right? Because I'm also of the mindset to take 100% responsibility for everything that happens to you. You also need to see that there are times where what happened to you wasn't all of your responsibility at all. Your responsibility is to heal from those wounds and to take the lessons and move on with your life. That's 100% your responsibility. But for somebody to victimize you, that's not okay, right? And you don't have to skip over and bypass what wasn't right. You should. Part of your responsibility is acknowledging what wasn't right and taking the lessons and learning from it after you've healed it, in a more of a therapeutic kind of way before the transformation can occur. And you can't just skip over it, unfortunately. Believe me, I've spent a lot of my life skipping over stuff. And it just creeps up behind you and bites you in the butt, right? So very important. So the exercise that I have for you guys is something that I just kind of came up with yesterday. And I came up with the process and I just completed it just before, and it's helped me. And I hope that it helps you guys as well. And basically what it is, it's kind of a timeline of your relationships, because the people that we have in our lives can be really, they can really point to our hurts and our wounding and, that kind of victim part of ourselves. And remember, we're not going into the victim part of ourselves to stay there and stay stuck in our victim mentality. What we're doing is we're realizing that in order to be the creator of our life, we must first realize and acknowledge and validate where we've been victimized, and then replace those situations with the lessons learned to move forward. But you can't just skip to gratitude, all right? Again, I'm telling you from personal experience, it just doesn't work. So I want you guys to not get stuck in the traps that I have, and I want you to fast track your success in the right way, right? So basically, here's the exercise. I want you to write a list of who you hold emotional charge toward, all right? So who are the people from the beginning of your life that you kind of still have this, when you think about them and you reflect through your life, you have a kind of an emotional charge. It might be a big emotional charge, or it might just be a slight emotional charge. Like, what is that emotional charge, right? And I want you to list out who those people are, and I want you to take some time to just see what I did. I just jotted down a bunch of names. Like, who are the people who have got kind of a bit of an emotional charge to? They're definitely going to have some sort of, your parents are probably going to be in there, right? In some regard. You might have siblings. You might have best friends from the past. You might have bosses. You might have co-workers. You might have mentors or coaches. You might have, any variety of person that you can look back and reflect, kind of like a timeline of your relationships. Past intimate relationships are a good one for this as well. And just list out all of those names. That's the first step. Then go back through, and I just did this on my notes on my iPad, right? And go back through, and under each of those key people that you know you've got some sort of emotional charge toward, I want you to detail underneath just a couple of points or whatever comes to mind, like, what is it about that person that created this kind of tension and this emotional charge? Did you have a controlling partner? Were they in competition with you? There are a couple of mine, right? Maybe you had a leader in your life who you felt like, I can't be all of who I am with them, because I can sense that me shining bright might step on the toes of their ego, and that might create disharmony. That's been a common pattern in my life with different authority figures for myself in my own life, with coaches, with mentors, with other people, significant people growing up. So that's been a key one for me. And anyway, you'll go down and you'll go through each of those people who you've got an emotional charge toward, no matter whether they're in your life currently or not. Maybe they're alive, maybe they're dead, doesn't matter. But it's looking at those key pivotal relationships, because they hold the key to you owning that, that wasn't okay. Or, just also not only seeing where, things weren't okay and you need to acknowledge some things for yourself, but also, as you'll see, you'll find certain patterns at play. Like I just mentioned one of mine, having different particularly male authority, kind of people who I've kind of like looked up to a bit, particularly males who... I just felt like there was a point where I couldn't be all of who I was with them without threatening their ego, and that's happened in intimate relationship. It's happened with coaches and mentors, and even a bit my relationship with my dad. So see, what you'll do is you'll see a common theme. So when we can identify and see our patterns, we become at choice point. We get the awareness, all right? If without awareness as the foundational element, you're not going to be able to make a change or a transformation. And you're not going to be able to go, you know what, that wasn't okay, and it's not going to be okay for me in my future. To have your non-negotiables come from your identification and acknowledgement of things that have happened in your life through those different dynamics that just are not okay for you. I also identified a pattern in my friendships, particularly with my female friendships, where I could actually see that they didn't treat me with very much respect, and I always felt like there was a common theme, not with everybody, but there was a common theme that I felt like, I don't think this person has my best interests at heart. There was always that moment in time where I felt like I'd do anything for this friend of mine, and then it'd get to the point where I might have needed any support, and I realized, wow, like I'd give my life practically for this person, and they wouldn't do that for me. And that was always the point in time where I was able to leave a friendship that wasn't actually on an equal playing field. But it was like a common theme in a lot of my female relationships, where I couldn't be feeling like could be all of who I was. It felt like there was, again, I needed to kind of dull my light a bit so that there wasn't the sense of threatening them at all. And there was always, the common theme was maintaining emotional harmony with everybody. all right? But it ended up being at the sacrifice of my truth. Now, that's not okay, right? And I'm responsible now to reflect back and acknowledge that, and then create some non-negotiables moving forward and do something about it. That's me taking 100% responsibility and becoming the creator of my life. All right, so remember, in order to become the creator of your life, you must first acknowledge your victimization. All right, so that was just one key process that, just kind of came up with yesterday and went through that today, and it's been absolutely of value. So I challenge you guys to give it a go in your own life, and particularly those of you who struggle with this as I have, which is I don't ever want to see myself as a victim, right? Like I want to be the creator of my life. Like, you know, nobody can impact me in that way. Like, I'm going to take the lesson, be grateful for every challenge, you know. Yes, that's good, that's empowering, but first you must acknowledge where you have been victimized and validate yourself for that. That wasn't okay, all right? And do that so that you can now trust yourself enough and believe in yourself enough to get to a new level of your potential and actually create the life that you want. So don't sabotage your own success because you won't acknowledge and validate yourself for your past experiences, all right? So it's very important. All right. Let's check in with you guys. Have you got any questions or comments? I'm just at that time of the day where the sun starts smashing through my window. I hope that this has been of value to you guys. I want to hear from you. So drop me a comment. Let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. Please do share this message if you feel it could be of value to people that you love and care about. That's always a great gift that you can give to me as well, to get into the minds and the hearts of other amazing individuals such as yourselves. But let me check in. I've got Jared in the house and Victoria and Ian, greetings to you. And Brian, greetings from New Jersey. I love it. And AJ, hello to you. And Judy and Kane and Lucy, hi Vanessa, talking about it helps heal also. So true, beautiful soul. And when you can have special people in your life that have earned your trust, and you know that you can open up and be vulnerable and authentic with them, you know, those are the kind of people that you want in your life who can support you, and be very cautious of not falling into the trap that a lot of us do, which is connecting through problems, right? You know, that can become kind of an addiction. So we want to make sure that we are connecting through progress, but we've got to start with the healing work, and that does require a therapeutic approach, right? Where we can talk it out and we can feel heard and we can feel validated. And not all of us have those people in our lives. So, you know, that's why I became a coach, you know, because that was missing in my life, and I wanted to help and contribute in that way, to be able to give people that space, you know, and basically, you know, if we can also be that our own coach, you know. That's why I wanted to give you the process that I did myself, you know, to be that person for you, you know, to be able to talk about it. I write it out, you know. If I don't have somebody to talk about it with, I write it out and I have a kind of a dialogue with myself, you know, just short of being sent to the crazy farm. But I love it. And loving Lucy, amen, sister. No, not okay. Absolutely. Feelings buried alive never die. Ooh, a book. Ooh, I like that. I might have to check that one out. That's cool. So true. You know, whatever we try and suppress doesn't go away. You know, it just kind of amplifies and magnifies until it's going to burst out, you know. And believe me, you know, most of our past is residing in our subconscious. And if we know that that's about 95 to 96% of the mind's capacity, what are you doing with the subconscious? Are you just jam-packing it full of all these stored emotions and unhealed wounds that are actually directing the course of your life, and you're trying to fight it with 4 or 5% of your mind's capacity consciously? You know, that's not going to work. We have to have a process of going back into the past, giving ourselves what we needed, validating that experience, and being able to cut ties with it for good. All right, so true, and I can't wait to check that book out. Thanks for the share, Lucy. And Kevin from Indiana, good to see you, my friend. And Lucy, I align a lot with you, V. I know, you're such a beautiful soul. Miss you and your beautiful presence, and I hope you're doing amazingly well. And Jared, hi, my friend. I'm currently studying the emotion code. Many of us also have trapped emotions that also impacted the way we react in life. It's really interesting. It's on Audible book and on YouTube also. Thank you. Love your knowledge. Oh, I love that, Jared. Awesome share as well. I'll be definitely checking that out. And that's a huge part of the work that I'm doing right now, is tapping into my emotions. All right. And so there's different that, you know, your emotions are connected to those experiences and those people. All right. So looking at the relationships that you've had in your life, or the different circumstances that you can identify on the timeline of your life, they're all connected to emotions. And so they're just kind of ways of actually getting to those emotions so that you can feel through them, because that would be the next step. Once you've identified the people that you hold an emotional charge to, and you've identified why, like what are the key things that trigger that emotional charge, then it's really important to actually feel through it, you know, to allow that emotion to come up to the surface, to validate yourself through emotion. You know, that's the key. So love that you're on that journey, Jared. Such an empowering one and a necessary one for everybody, whether they get that lesson in life or not, unfortunately. And Jason, thank you. You're so welcome. Grateful that this is of value to you. And Lucy, don't ever dull your light. Thank you, beautiful. And you are so needed in this role that you are doing. It's a go. Thank you so much, Lucy. You're such a beautiful soul, and I always appreciate your kindness. You're such a beautiful example of the beauty in humanity. So I love that. And, you know, that's the kind of person that you want in your life, right? Somebody who's like, hey, I won't accept you dulling your light. I actually demand for you to be all of who you are. Be authentic. Know that there's nothing that you can ever say or do that's wrong when you're just expressing your truth from your heart. You know, they're the kind of people that you want in your life. All right, so thank you, Lucy. Grateful to have crossed paths with you, beautiful. And William's here as well, and Grant and Karen's here. Awesome. And Lucy, I do the same thing, writing it out too. Awesome. Such a good strategy for tapping into what's going on in your world, right? So beautiful. So a lot of people, depending on how they're wired, you know, they might, you know, Lucy and I, in terms of personality psychology, we use extroverted feeling or harmony. So we want to kind of get our emotions out. And if you don't have somebody there, a way of getting it out is pen to paper or type it out and kind of have this conversation. You know, other people use a form of artistic expression. You know, they might play music, or they might write poems, or they might get into their bodies in some way. You know, there's all these different ways that we can tap into a fuller expression of who we are, and it's going to be powerful. So I love that share, Lucy. And you're so welcome. And Alina, I thought same yesterday, but how to change that patterns who came again and again. Okay. This is a cool one, all right? So in the masterclasses that I run with the Limitless Potential Academy, I've just done the latest masterclass that was released was actually on exactly this: how to identify your key patterns, basically from what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and also what action you take. So if you want an in-depth training on that, goes for about an hour or so, and it gives you worksheets and tools to actually apply it and do this work so that you can come up with and identify your limiting patterns that are at play, so you can build the awareness around them, so you can break through and transform them. Then I really invite you to join us in the Limitless Potential Academy monthly masterclasses. You'll get access to that training, plus about 16 other trainings there are right now. So you'll definitely enjoy that and get those processes so you can apply it, and it's super cheap and accessible. So if you want to come and join us in that team, you definitely can. And we also, we've got another Inner Circle monthly catch up. So when you join the academy, you get access to the masterclasses. Plus, you also get to join once a month. I run a live Zoom call with everybody. We're all across the globe, and we get to share our struggles, our successes, get some get to connect with some like-minded, open-minded, amazing individuals where you can create a safe space. It's an amazing team. Like, I wish I could share it with more of you guys, you know, because the people who are in it are absolutely phenomenal. They're the kind of people that we talked about with Lucy, you know, those who want the best for you, where their success is your success and your success is their success. So if you want to also get access to that, that's part of what you get when you sign up. And we've got our next Inner Circle catch-up call happening not this weekend, the weekend after. So let me know. You can shoot me a message if you're interested in that. But that is my message for each and every one of you guys today. I hope you will take on the challenge, go through this empowering process, and make sure that in order to become the creator of your life, you must first acknowledge your victimization. And it goes against, like, every part of my body, like, I don't want to be a victim, but I'm telling you, it is where your growth lies. If you're anything like me and you hate identifying as any sort of victim, any kind of mentality around being a victim, you know, you gotta go there, all right? It will set you free, all right? And William, bravo, nice speaking to introduce with the powerful and empower. So grateful to hear that, William. Thank you so much for those kind words. Grateful that this was of value to you and loved having you live. And that goes for each and every one of you guys today. Thanks so much for showing up and spending your time here and co-creating this conversation. As I said, please do share it if it's of value. And as always, I'm sending you guys all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I really do hope that it's beautiful, amazing, and extraordinary, that you're doing something super empowering, and today's message has definitely served you. And Lucy, your light shines so much today. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate such kind words, and likewise. And can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. So much love, and do amazing. Bye.